America's North Woods border region. Within this land of 10,000 lakes and miles of dense timber, a hideous creature is believed to lurk.
The North Woods is probably one of the last frontiers in America. There's still a lot of places in this area that hasn't been set foot by man. Monsters and mysteries exist here because it is remote.
Up in the North Woods, winters are long. In times of biting cold and isolation, a devouring monster is believed to come forth. It's terrorized native people for generations.
Growing up, I was told, like, don't go outside, the Wendigo will get you.
Among the traditions of the northern Algonquin tribes is the Wendigo, a monster that can seize hold of a person to carry out its hunger for human flesh.
The Wendigo force itself would go somehow inside of their bodies and take over control of their faculties to a point where they become homicidal and cannibalistic.
According to the legends, someone infected by the Wendigo is capable of almost anything.
They have such a voracious hunger that they have chewed their own lips off. They're gnawing on their fingers. The more that they eat, their hunger does grow even more intense.
One of the most horrific cases of Wendigo possession unfolded in the 1870s, when a Cree Indian named Swift Runner turned up in town, claiming his wife and children were missing. Police investigators suspected foul play.
When they walked to his campsite, they were horrified by what they saw. And it didn't take them very long to discover there was something more sinister to this story.
For centuries, the legend of the cannibalistic Wendigo has haunted parts of America's northern border. No one is safe in its path.
The Wendigo is the predator of humanity. It stalks human beings relentlessly, but it also has the capacity to prey upon someone within their mind.
Once the Wendigo takes hold, you are a starving, savage beast with an insatiable hunger.
The legend of the Wendigo originated in North America with the Native Americans. Reports of it go back to the very early historical records, probably in the 1500s.
Many Native Americans fear even talking about this Wendigo, and even the mention of the name will let the Wendigo find out where you are, and it will open you up to be possessed by this Wendigo.
The most famous case of a Wendigo possession took place in 1879. In the deep woods outside of Edmonton, Alberta. Swift Runner, a Cree Indian, was a trapper and a guide. He had left town the previous autumn with his wife, 6 children, and his mother. But when Swift Runner returned in spring, he was alone.
Swift Runner came into a nearby village telling this heartbreaking tale.
I had to watch them starve to death.
Of his family being killed by starvation, and that he was the only survivor.
My whole family gone.
It wasn't hard to understand a family falling victim to a brutal winter.
To even not
Yet something was suspicious about Swift Runner.
think of as food.
He was a strapping man, and he came into town weighing over 200 pounds. It didn't look like somebody who had just weathered a terrible winter. He wasn't malnourished, didn't look like he was starving. He looked healthier than ever.
After a few nights, it became clear that something was wrong.
He started having night terrors, screaming in his sleep.
I am the Wendigo.
Villagers alerted the police.
Swift Runner actually guided them back to his winter cabin. When they got there, that's when they saw the true horror. human skulls were scattered around. Many bones, some of which had been snapped in half and the marrow inside had been drained. They had never seen anything like it. Swift Runner had killed his entire family, shooting them, hitting them with an axe, strangling, and then eating most of their bodies.
Right up until the moment the noose was on his neck, Swift Runner swore the evil spirit of the Wendigo had possessed him and twisted him into a cannibal killer.
When he was on the gallows, Swift Runner himself said, "I am no longer a man."
In the unforgiving North Woods, hunger and horror go hand in hand.
The Wendigo can turn himself into anything. Look like somebody like you know. He's a spirit, and he's a man.
In 2008, some believe a Wendigo came to life on an ordinary bus, with horrific results. A young man was getting settled for a long bus ride home. Little did he know, it would be the last ride of his life.
The witnesses had never encountered anything like this in their life. It looked like he was a man that was possessed by some type of spirit, and led many to believe he might have been the Wendigo.
The Wendigo appears in the legends of many North American tribes as a giant frozen monster. So gaunt, it's almost skeletal. So hungry, it's bitten off chunks of its own flesh.
The Wendigo is a hideous monster, reported to be somewhere between 8 and 15 feet tall, white-skinned, white-furred. It will have these large antlers and horns growing out of its head. Truly a horrifying creature.
Even today, there's a belief that a Wendigo can show up anytime, anywhere. 250 miles north of Fargo, North Dakota, one might have appeared on an ordinary bus. July 30th, 2008, a Greyhound bus was en route to Winnipeg with 36 passengers aboard. One of them, a young man on his way home, was just falling asleep.
It was sometime later that another man got on the bus with a duffel bag and black sunglasses. His name was Vincent Lee. He came onto the bus and seated himself at the back.
The bus drove on for another hour. Then, something monstrous overtook Lee. A ravenous force was gaining strength, and it's unleashed on the sleeping young man seated next to Lee.
This man, of course, wakes up and starts scrambling, trying to fight off Mr. Lee, and the entire time he's screaming. And this blood-curdling scream alerts the rest of the passengers of what's going on, and they look over and are horrified to see this man being killed right in front of their eyes.
The bus immediately pulled to a stop. Passengers fled outside. And then, the inconceivable happened.
He severs his head right off of his body, and he's very, very calmly walking up and down the aisle of the bus, brandishing this head.
And he holds it out like a trophy, showing the other passengers.
And it wasn't the brutal attack that carried whispers of Wendigo. It was what came next.
eyewitnesses said that he was actually taking pieces and eating them.
It bore the signs of Wendigo, a monster in its most brutal form.
The fact that he was eating them led many to believe he might have been the Wendigo, that he was possessed by some type of spirit. He wasn't angry, he wasn't provoked. It was as cool, as calm as he was just taking a walk on the beach.
It seemed to be totally unexplainable, but yet at the same time, it was occurring right in front of their eyes.
The police managed to make the capture and arrest. Was Vincent Lee merely insane? Given the history of cannibalistic killings in the North Woods, some suggest this was an evil force at work. Ancient cases like Swift Runner and the heartbreaking fate of his family, or modern ones like a cannibalistic killing on a Greyhound bus, defy normal logic. Is a monster like the Wendigo the explanation?
They've become a predator of humanity and the human beings that they see around them. Usually their family, relatives, or friends have become the prey.
I believe the Wendigo still exists because he is a spirit. It's always going to be around.